Okay, the reading for this week is the next part in our series on Chinese civilization, culture, philosophy. And this week we will be reading an essay by Zhang Xingyao called An Examination of the Similarities and Differences Between the Lord of Heaven Teaching, Christianity, and the Teaching of the Confucian Scholars. Okay, so I'll start with the introduction, and this excerpt from the essay was taken from, once again, Sources of Chinese Tradition, this time volume 2. I'll put the link to that work in the description below, as well as a link to the PDF worksheet below, so you can follow along with me now. Introduction. Beginning in the late 16th century, Portuguese merchants began coming to trade in southern China, bringing Jesuit priests along with them. Jesuits, notably the Italian Matteo Ricci, aimed to convert members of the scholar official elite, the Shi elite, who they hoped would then assist in spreading their religion, Christianity, Roman Catholic Christianity, among the people. While welcomed by the late Ming and early Qing emperors for their expertise in areas such as astronomy, calendar making, cannon and other firearms, and mathematics, the Jesuits made relatively few converts among the general populace. Okay, so just to review the Ming and Qing dynasties, I'll put the dates of the major Chinese dynasties in the description below, but just to review quickly here, the Ming dynasty begins 1368, ends in 1644. The Qing dynasty, 1644, all the way up to the foundation of the Republic in 1912. Alright, so where were we? So, very few converts among the general populace. By the late 17th century, Christianity faced growing opposition among the officials and from the imperial governments. So a similar situation that we see in Japan, with the Jesuits coming to Japan, spreading Christianity in the early centuries with some success, but then the clampdown begins in the Edo period in Japan. So we see something similar here. By the late 17th century, Christianity faced growing opposition among the officials and from the imperial government. Nonetheless, the Jesuits had succeeded in making significant converts among eminent Confucians. And there were small circles of elite Christian men who desired not merely to be Christians, but to make Christianity Chinese by exploring the differences and similarities of Christian doctrine and Confucian philosophy. Okay, so this is one such essay that explores the similarities and differences between Confucianism and Christianity here. The following document is by Zhang Xingyao, born 1633, died around 1715, and was written sometime between 1702 and 1715. Okay, so here is the essay, or the excerpt from the essay. I will read it here. Once again, there are two versions of the essay in your worksheet, an abridged version and a longer version. I will read the longer version here. Before I read it, I will read the study questions, and we'll discuss these in more detail in class. Question number 1. How does Zhang bring Christianity and Confucianism together? Okay, so obviously there are a lot of great differences between Christianity and Confucianism, metaphysical differences, ethical differences, religious difference, ritual differences, and so forth. But how does he find some similarities between the two, and how does he link them together? Is that question. Question number 2. Compare Zhang's writing with Han Yu's essay on the bone of the Buddha, which we've already read in this class, right? Which is a criticism of Buddhism. In what ways are the two similar? What might account for the similarity? Question number 3. How might Western missionaries respond to Zhang's analysis of the relationship between Christian beliefs and Chinese beliefs? Okay, so we'll discuss those in detail in class. Now I will read this 2.5-page excerpt from the essay. An examination of the similarities and differences between the Lord of Heaven teaching, Christianity, and the teaching of the Confucian scholars, by Zhang Xingyao. It is clear in the China of my day that the Lord of Heaven, Tiangzhu, of the Western missionaries, is the same as the Lord on high, the Shang of Chinese antiquity. So he starts with the claim that the God, the Yahweh, of the New Testament and Old Testament is the same as the Shang of Chinese antiquity, which is a rather startling claim. Since the time of the Yellow Emperor, a legendary figure dated from 2697 BC, officials worked together to make sacrifices to the Lord on high, or the Shang. Thereafter, the words in the classics were all there for anyone to see. Thus, Shui disseminated the 5 teachings of paternal rightness, or yi, maternal compassion, friendship of an elder brother, respect of a younger brother, and filial piety of a child. And false teachings did not develop. Sagely wisdom thrived, it should say. Customs were pure and beautiful. How could things have been better? From the time the Buddha's books entered China, so again around 100 AD or so, a teaching spread that was altogether deviant. The followers of Lao Tzu promoted, the Taoist foundational figure, Lao Tzu promoted this teaching, and therefore the minds of the people in China lost their ability to question anything. People all degenerated into a condition of merely acquiescing in what they were told. And the Buddha said, "In heaven above and earth below, I alone am worthy of honor." The ability to discern the Lord of Heaven, the Shangdi, degenerated, and it became a great and arrogant demon whom mankind no longer studied, followed, and honored. Consequently, the 3 mainstays of ruler-minister, parent-child, and husband-wife, so these are the 3 mainstays of Confucian ethics, and the 5 constants of Confucian ethics, of humaneness, ren, rightness, yi, ritual decorum, li, wisdom, zhi, and trustworthiness, sheng, became hated, and there was no effort to urge these on mankind. These people have all gone to hell without end, and the followers of Confucius are not able to save them, because Confucius can neither reward nor punish nor judge the living and the dead. Okay, so he's basically saying that things were going well in China, ancient China, until Taoism, until Lao Tzu, and Taoism appeared on the scene, followed by Buddhism, which both had a corrupting influence on the Chinese people and led them away from the Shangdi of antiquity. Next paragraph. I had known nothing of Buddhist texts, but once during a period of mourning, someone said to me, "If you want to understand the meaning of life and death, why don't you take the essential Buddhist texts and meditate upon them?" Then I took and looked through the Lankavatara Sutra, the Vimalakirti Sutra, and other Buddhist books, reading their most important passages. As a result, I concluded, if these are their theories, none of them have any real meaning. I could believe what the 2 great Confucian scholars Cheng Yi and Zhou Xi said about the Buddhist sutras being replete with half-truths, licentiousness, heterodoxy, and escape from the world. As to the teaching, Zhou Xi, of course, is the Zhou Xi of the early Song dynasty who founded, put together the 4 books and codified Neo-Confucianism. You'll remember from previous episodes. And Cheng Yi was one of the 2 Cheng brothers who was a pioneer in doing that, who came just before Zhou Xi. As to the teachings of the 2 heterodoxies, Taoism and Buddhism, so he refers to Taoism and Buddhism as the 2 heterodoxies, how is it that they continue to last for even a day in these flourishing, enlightened times? The Western scholars came 90,000 li to honor the will of the Shangdi, the Lord of Heaven, and to save the world, with many benefits to us in the Central Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, the Zhongguo, which is the word for China today, of course. Their principles are correct. Their people are men of worth. How can people be inattentive to their teachings, and thus throw away the eternal life of their spiritual natures, their immortal souls? My friend, Master Zhu, styled Jinang, showed me the books of the Lord of Heaven teaching, or Christianity. I had not yet finished reading them when my mind became filled with doubts about the Buddha. Then I understood that heaven and earth, Tiandi, naturally possess correct principles already present in Confucian teaching, but with some things still not completely understood by Confucian teaching, it would not do to be without the added benefit of the teachings of the Lord of Heaven. So he regards Christianity as a kind of completion or a supplement to Confucianism, which is completely correct, completely true, but which is true and correct, but not completely so, right? Christianity, in his view, is needed to complete Confucianism. Therefore, I have collected the books of the Lord of Heaven teaching, explained them in over 2,000 pages of the work, clearly distinguishing the Lord of Heaven teaching from heterodoxy, 天主教名片, and thus expose the falsehoods of Buddhism and Taoism. My notes on the comprehensive mirror for aid in governance, topically arranged, or 通鉴记写本谋, filling over 1,700 pages, are so compendious and profuse that it has not been possible to get them cut and printed. However, the Lord of Heaven teaching, or Christianity, can be understood and grasped in terms of the three aspects of 1. What harmonizes with Confucian teaching, 2. What supplements the Confucian teaching, and finally 3. What transcends the Confucian teaching. The title of this work is An Inquiry into the Similarities and Differences between the Heavenly Lord's teachings, Christianity, and the teaching of the Confucian scholars, the Ru. Anyone today who is enlightened should comprehend my words and understand that the Lord of Heaven, of the Western missionaries, Christianity, is the Lord on high, the Shang of Chinese antiquity. So Yahweh is Shang, and that what I have written embodies his compassion to save the world. He knows me and brings retribution upon me. Let everyone hear me out. Alright, that's the end of the excerpt to this essay. We will discuss more about this in class and do a more general comparison of Confucianism, Confucian ideas with the ideas of Judeo-Christianity. That is all for now. See you then. Goodbye.